Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, folks, welcome back to Dominant Mets Nation, episode 3 of our off-season central. Well, folks, we got a nice video for you today. Some very interesting, I would say, possibilities for the New York Mets. And we're going to go over these possibilities. And you know what, folks? I'm going to be dead honest with you. A lot of rumors we're going to hear are going to be BS. Some rumors have a possibility, and some rumors are just the real deal. I'm going to give you an example of each different type, and it's going to be a very nice, fun video. Also, folks, I'd like to thank you as always. Honestly, this is why I love covering baseball. It's because of the interaction with you. This is why I started an X account lately. Thank you for all our recent followers who went over to X. Follow at Dominant Mets. It's a fairly new account. I like to start having everybody come over there so that we can communicate during the game, during the season. A few of you have come over so far. I thank you for that. And for the video, like, subscribe, because we love interesting Mets content. We love our Mets content. And if you are an MLB baseball fan and you love interesting baseball content, we have that here as well. All right, so let's get into the video. Let's get into the good stuff. So we're going to start off the show with the Mets potentially stealing an ace. Where is it? Where could this potentially come from? All right, folks, we know that there are a couple really good top echelon pitchers. You know, you hear about Roki Sasaki from Japan. You hear about Corbin Burns from the Orioles. But we're going to focus on Mr. Max Fried. Max Fried is the ace from Atlanta. And you know what? That I'm going to say, we're going to go over some facts, but let's see what predicament and the possibility of Max Fried potentially coming with the Mets and coming to the Mets. And where is that fit? Where is that fit? All right, because we are big game hunting folks. The title of this video says mega deals. We are going to issue mega deals. There is no question about that. Whether the free agents accept it, that's the only question. But we will, I repeat, we will be offering mega contracts. The goal for David Stearns is to elevate and upgrade the talent on this team. Okay, so let's look at Mr. Max Fried first and that possibility. And we'll do that right about now. All right, folks. So, in the eyes of many Mets fans, getting a pitcher of the quality of Max Fried could be considered, almost like a dream. You kill two birds with one stone. You got to get a guy who has a solid track record, who has won a World Series, and you steal him from essentially Atlanta Braves. Okay. Atlanta Braves being our biggest rival, Fried has spent 8 years with the Braves. He made 2 All-Star teams, 3 Gold Gloves. The man could field his position. And he also, as mentioned, helped the Braves won the 2021 World Series. So we know he can be successful in the playoffs. He actually threw 6 scoreless innings in the World Series clincher. Very, very very useful, obviously. Okay, another reason Fried would be such an interesting signing for our New York Mets is because he has dominated against New York. He has faced us almost more than any other team, and over the course of his career, he holds a sterling 2.48 ERA in 23 appearances against our New York Mets. Oh boy. And he has a 2.57 ERA at Citi Field. We're going to go over some more stats that this man has. Having him dominate in a game that the Mets are involved in, but for New York would be a nice change of pace. Fried has been underrated for most of his Braves tenure, but he has a lifetime 307 ERA. and is the kind of pitcher. His track record in the postseason honestly has been a bit shaky, but you have to get to the postseason before worrying about that. Fried's body of work in the regular season would help anybody, any suitor. The fact that Fried is a free agent makes it very possible. It's not likely that Fried will depart Atlanta, according to most sources, but the Braves have had that history of making tough decisions. Now, here's the estimated value of Fried going around. They're estimating his potential value would be approximately 6 years, $174 million. How much average annual value is that, you ask? Well, that comes to about $29 million a year. He is 30 years old, so you would sign him essentially till age 36, paying him an average of $29 million a year. Now, when you look on the surface and you look at other contracts, a Garrett Cole contract, possibly a Yamamoto, yes, he's younger. It doesn't sound half bad. $29 million doesn't sound half bad. Max Fried has had a very respectable career. And, if you break it down, the more you look into the advanced numbers of Fried, the more respectable he gets. I mean, if you look at like what he brings to the table, I'll be honest. It doesn't jump out at you. Let's put it that way. His average fastball velocity is 93.8. In a day, like, Corbin Burns, he averages 97 miles per hour. So his fastball is not going to blow you away. It is certainly not. But what does Max Fried do well? What makes him special? Well, I'll tell you what makes him special. He has a freaking nasty curveball, and the average batting average against consistently is in the high 100s. So nobody touches his curveball. He's got a nasty sweeper. He's got a slider. And over the course of his career, he has changed his repertoire based on what works for him. For example, in 2017, he threw his four-seam fastball almost 60% of the time. Well, his four-seam fastball has the highest batting average against. So throughout the course of the time, instead of throwing that 60% of the time, now he throws it 40%. He has developed a slider. He has developed his cutter. He has developed other pitchers with nasty movement that has made it a lot tougher for batters to hit. Other stuff he does well, he generates ground balls at an elite rate. Ground ball percentage, 96th percentile, folks. He will get you that ground ball. Hard hit percentage, batters don't hit the ball hard of him. They do not hit the ball hard of him. This year, usually Max Fried is a guy who locates. This year, his base on balls was at 50%, which is not a typical Max Fried a year. Usually he's close to 90%. So I'll give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but he has great stuff. He really has great stuff. And if you can get him at 28, 29 million, that is something that I would have to consider a very doable possibility. I'm not going to say it's the real deal. I'm not going to say it's BS. I'm going to say it is a definite possibility. And, let's hang our hats on more data, because what I love is providing you with data, real numbers. Real numbers often don't lie, as we usually hear. Okay, so what would make Max Fried more attractive to a team like the Mets? Okay, I say I would look at how does Max Fried fare against a team like the Dodgers? How does Mookie Betts hit him? How does Freddie Freeman fare against Max Fried? So this is what I looked into. In the regular season, Max Fried has faced off against the Dodgers in 10 games. So pretty decent sample size. That totals 57 innings. He has a 3-4 win-loss record. That's not everything, but he has a 3.18 ERA, 70 strikeouts, 17 base on balls. So that 3.18 ERA against the Dodgers is actually pretty impressive. If you break down the numbers even further and you say, okay, who did well, who didn't, we'll look at their top guys. Mookie Betts, 19 career at-bats against Max Fried. 19 career at-bats, one hit. One hit. Mr. Mookie Betts is batting .56. .56 against Max Fried. Freddie Freeman, another very disciplined hitter, is batting 154. He is batting 154 in 15 plate appearances. He has two hits. Two hits against Max Fried. Chris Taylor, another guy who has a lot of at-bats. He's batting .59. Let's look at Teoscar Hernandez, another top player from the Dodgers. In 11 at-bats, he has two hits with a 200 batting average. Shohei Ohtani doesn't have a large sample size. In 6 at-bats, he has 3 hits. 3 hits, one of them happened to be a home run. Okay, when I was kind of looking about what type of pitcher Max Fried is, the reason why I looked at the Dodgers is because I said, okay, Max Fried is a guy who really needs to locate, but he's a guy who has elite movement. He has elite movement. He has elite, off-speed pitches, breaking ball pitches. He is elite. All right, well, how does he fare against the Dodgers? And it turns out he fares pretty decently. In the playoffs, his numbers did go down a smidge in 8 playoff games. He was 0-2 with a 4.21. But as mentioned earlier, in the regular season, he has actually been dominant against the Dodgers. So that is something to hold your hat on. And if I want to go to the 6-year, $174 million contract, and if you factor in who is going to be interested, you got to figure teams like the Phillies are going to be interested. The Mets are going to be interested. There's going to be a lot of big market teams. Atlanta's probably going to be interested, although I said they have a history of just cutting bait. So, there is a possibility that they may just lay way for the rest of, MLB to say, have at it. Even though Max Fried is a very talented pitcher, it is a bit of another side. Like I said, he's had elevated walks this year. He doesn't make guys swing and miss. He doesn't have a high whiff rate. He doesn't have a high strikeout rate. He's a guy who's had an injury history. So there are negatives with Max Fried. He's not a fireballer. He's not a guy who's going to blow, pitches past the hitters. Okay, so that is Max Fried. We're going to get to our second part of the video, and we're going to do that right about now. By the way, folks, if you haven't got a chance to like the video, now is a great time. It really shows that you do enjoy these type of videos. I'm not really sure. I may decide to start shortening these videos. I just, I'm excited to give you as much content as possible, but I know the way we absorb this information is different for each and every one of us. Some of us like to sit down and watch for a while, while other of us like to enjoy little bits of content at a time. So I'm still trying to weigh the best way to do that. If you have any suggestions, I always appreciate your feedback and your comments. Okay. Also, if you are new, subscribe, join the family. Last video, I love sharing information. I think we, actually 2 videos ago, we added 34 new subscribers. Last video, I believe it was 22. So, I really appreciate each and every new subscriber. It really means a lot that you're taking the time to say, hey, you know what? This guy seems a bit interesting. Okay. All right. So let's go to the second part of this video, and you see we have it titled as Bullshit Trade Rumors. And you know what? There is going to be a lot of rumors out there that you're like, where the hell did this come from? In fact, if you gather all the crap that we've heard in the last 10 years, some of the most ridiculous rumors are out there. And, this is what we're going to try to do this offseason. We're going to have to identify what is possible and what is not. Okay, so one of the latest rumors out there that seemed a bit, interesting, and this is posed by Nick Ziegler, and I have no clue who this guy is, and he titles it this: New York Mets name potential trade suitor for Houston Astros ace. Oh boy, then we have been named as a potential trade suitor. Yay! What the hell does that mean? Okay, so I started reading this article and I found it interesting. So it goes, even though Houston still has a lot of reasons to believe that they will be a contender next year, they do have a couple big decisions regarding key players. Alex Bregman this offseason. And then next year, after 2025, they have even more decisions about some of their top talent, like Kyle Tucker, Framber Valdez, their ace. They're both going to be free agents after next year. And we know that money was an issue a couple years ago. But remember, folks, the year that money was an issue, that's when the Mets swooped in and signed Verlander to that ridiculous contract, $40-something million a year. Okay, if you're Houston, yeah, there's going to be a reason why you're hesitant to give a 40-year-old that much money. But lo and behold, a few short months later, the Houston Astros then made a trade with the Mets to acquire Justin Verlander. So, sticking to that plan for just 2 months, it didn't work. They had to dip their toe in, and they had to acquire Justin Verlander. All right, so that being said, let's continue. Due to a couple key players coming up in free agency and a lot of money likely needed to keep them, Zachary D. Reimer of Bleacher Report recently linked the New York Mets to Valdez as a potential suitor. Well, Zachary D. Reimer of Bleacher Report, I didn't realize that this particular guy had that much power to link a ball club to the team. It's like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, let me link the Mets to the Houston Astros. That's kind of like, it just tells you right there. This is like, a mountain of BS. Like, he probably thought of this while he was going to sleep. Okay. While the thought of trading the ace of the staff with the team in win now mode might seem crazy, it could make sense for the Astros. While the depth of starting rotation was certainly tested for Houston in 2024, so he's just basically telling you they had no depth, but a team who's competitive and who has all these players who are in win now mode. Okay, whatever. Okay, with a lot of injuries, this is still arguably the deepest part of the team. If Houston were to trade the southpaw, they would certainly need to bring in another arm or two, but it would likely be far cheaper than with Valdez. This is BS. He's contradicting himself. He's telling you it's the deepest. First, he tells you that oh my God, he's just contradicted himself 2 or 3 times in the last 4 sentences. He tells you that it's the deepest part of the team, but we're going to trade him to the Mets, and then we need to go out and acquire 2 or 3 starting pitchers. What a dumb thing to say. Okay, furthermore, the return for the ace would likely be fairly substantial. What could be a good thing for the team is that we could use some more talent in the farm system that has some holes in their lineup, that could fill some holes. For the Mets, with most of their starting rotation hitting free agency, doom and gloom, the organization is clearly going to be looking to make a big splash in that winter. While going for a free agent like Corbin Burnes will likely happen first, trading for a pitcher like Valdez could be a smart idea as well. Well, I'll tell you what. And what was your name? Zachary D. Reimer of Bleacher Report. This is, so far out of all the rumors I've seen, this takes the cake as one of the dumbest rumors. And you actually said in your article how dumb and how less likely this is going to happen. And the partner in the New York Mets just makes it even less likely for it to happen with a team like the New York Mets. The New York Mets are not going to be interested in trading with the Houston Astros, unless the Houston Astros want to give the New York Mets some type of sweetheart deal, but you're saying basically the Mets would have to rip themselves off for the Houston to basically trade away an area of need. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You're going to see many of these trades. There are so many other teams that would be better suitors. Now, I threw out names like Garrett Crochet. Why would Garrett Crochet be an interesting trade partner? He's on the Chicago White Sox. Well, the Chicago White Sox know that Garrett Crochet is going to demand a lot of money. The White Sox are not in any type of win now mode, and the more he goes into his 6-year arbitration eligible contract before he gets to free agency, the less value the man has, and the more potential risk the team takes on when they hold on to the guy. The guy could sustain an injury. The guy cannot be the same the following year. You never know what happens. So that's why the White Sox, who aren't in win now mode, who don't want to spend a lot of money, that is a suitor. The Detroit Tigers, who aren't looking, they're not in win now mode right now, although they improve. They have Tariq Skubal, and they have so many damn holes. They're looking to get younger. They're looking to get cheaper. They're not looking for one player to make 40% of the overall team's payroll. That team makes sense. A team like the Houston Astros, who has a payroll over $200 million, is not a freaking fit. All right. Sorry for getting a bit animated, but, that one just didn't make sense. Okay, now let's get to something that does make sense. That does make sense. And again, if you have X, formerly Twitter, follow at Dominant Mets. I'm starting to build that account up. I like to have another avenue to communicate with you during games, during the season. It's just another fun way. Okay, so let's get to the third part of the video. And as you can see, I have it labeled that Yanks extremely worried about Soto reality to the Mets. Now, why is this coming about? Well, we all know this. Steve Cohen has the most money in all of baseball. Soto loves playing in New York. Let's say that right now. Soto loves playing in New York. Soto can play in New York. We know that. Had a phenomenal year with the New York Yankees. And I think, the Yankees right now just lost to the LA Dodgers, going down 0-2 in the World Series. I still believe, and I said the Dodgers were the best team left in this whole thing. Mets had a very competitive series. They lost in Game 6. So far, the Yankees have had not really a competitive series, haven't won a game yet. So I could see if the Yankees somehow get blown out 4-0, the Yankees have a very bloated payroll. They have a lot of guys on their team making a crap load of money. Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge. The list really kind of goes on and on. Their payroll is bloated. The Mets showed potentially they are better than the Yankees this year, and they have $180 million coming off the payroll. They are a team kind of going in a different direction. Yankees went all in. Mets held on to their prospects, and they went on a different tack. The Mets, long-term, may be set up in the eyes of Juan Soto in an extremely better position with the richest and most aggressive owner in baseball, coupled in with David Stearns, who can be considered a genius. Now, let's get to, some fears by the Yankees. Let's do this. So, and this was actually an interesting article. So, Mets are lurking for Juan Soto, and the Yankees are justifiably paranoid. Okay, going from the Yankees to the Mets would seem to be a buzzkill, one Yankee employee told John Heyman of the New York Post. Wow, so the Yankees are in the World Series, and an employee spoke to John Heyman. A Yankees employee said that Juan Soto going to the Mets would be a buzzkill. Hell yeah, it would be a buzzkill, but that's what you're thinking about in the World Series. And the fact that, what they gave up, the package they gave up, and they gave up good talent. Michael King hell of a pitcher. They gave some nice pieces to San Diego, so San Diego was able to keep Michael King, flip some of those pieces, and got Dylan Cease. So they got multiple good pitchers on that team. And right now, Juan Soto could leave the Yankees. What are the Yankees going to be saddled with? Mud on their face, potentially. That's scary. Okay, so sure, there's an easy argument for the Yankees. They're the Yankees. But when it comes to remarkable, when the Mets, all right, some articles just don't make sense. So the Mets won't be courting Soto officially for several weeks, but the Yankees are already throwing meteor haymakers in the middle of a World Series. It's a shame we didn't get a Yankees-Mets World Series because that would have supercharged this upcoming free agency battle even more. I don't care about the battle, being Yankees Mets. It wouldn't enhance the battle aspect in my opinion. But the Yankees are going to offer Soto a lot of money. There's no doubt about it. They're going to offer Soto a lot of money, but it is a guarantee, a freaking guarantee that the Mets will submit a top bid. I tell you what, the Mets looking at the Dodgers, and it has been said many times that the Mets are trying to emulate a lot of things that the Dodgers are doing. They see these top echelon superstar talent on the Dodgers, whether it be Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani. And I tell you, the Mets will pay for that superstar level talent. There are only few superstars in the game. There are only a few legends in the game. Juan Soto, folks, is one of them. Juan Soto puts a great, immense deal of pressure on the opposing pitcher, on the opposing team. The Mets were in the predicament facing Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. They know what type of damage it does to an overall pitching staff. Getting Juan Soto is a generational player. He is a generational player. Soto is arguably the best free agent of his generation. With the Mets so close to a World Series, there is no excuse not to push Soto for Soto's services. He could very well put this Mets team over the top, and he's just be leaving one MVP candidate in Aaron Judge for another in Francisco Lindor. How does that sound for you? Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, and emerging Mark Vientos. I mean, that is what you want to see. The Mets are an aging team as we currently stand. Juan Soto's 26 years old. We need to invest, and we need to invest in the freaking right players. Right players. Okay. Okay, so apparently a friend of Juan Soto told the New York Post about that there were early speed bumps in his relationship with the Yankees and noted that Soto returning to the Bronx is by no means a guarantee. So the stage is set for a bitter and blustering free agency war, and the Yankees are clearly not in pole position. We have to comment on this. This is substantial. In the middle of a World Series, an unnamed Yankee employee told John Heyman that the focus is basically on Soto going to the Mets and that it would be a buzzkill. In that same period of time, a friend of Soto told the New York Post that Soto had early speed bumps in his relationship with the Yankees. All these tea leaves are put out there to tell you there is trouble. There is trouble. I'm telling you, the Yankees behind closed doors are trying to move heaven and earth to secure this man's services. But it was the goal the whole time. The goal the whole time. And now you hear that there were early speed bumps with the Yankees trying to put tremendous pressure, knowing Soto was not going to sign a long-term contract, but still tried to get him to possibly do so. Was that the reason why there were early speed bumps? I mean, are these early speed bumps that a friend was told about? Are they even, is it something that is insurmountable? Is it something that, is still on the mind of Juan Soto? Because Juan Soto, friend, in the middle of the World Series, is telling the freaking Post about it. That is insane, folks. That is freaking insane. And that gives me more hope, more confidence that Soto does want to get away from that situation. And if I'm Soto, why not? Why not? This is Aaron Judge's team, his city. Everybody, Aaron Judge this, Aaron Judge that. You're always going to be in Aaron Judge's shadow, folks. And that's what it is. You're going to be in Aaron Judge's shadow. It's Aaron Judge's team. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, what about Francisco Lindor? He's an MVP candidate. It's going to be Francisco Lindor's team. Well, it's a different situation. Francisco Lindor is the type of leader that is willing to let other players shine. He is willing to help other people shine. He is willing to do, and he sees, okay, what does this player need? Does this player need to be the best? Does this player need extra confidence? He doesn't care if he's not in the spotlight. He doesn't care. This is not, Francisco Lindor and Aaron Judge. The big thing is Aaron Judge, he was came up as a Yankee. Francisco Lindor came here as a trade. So there's two different establishments, how they were established with their team. And that is why Soto, the team could be built around Soto. Francisco Lindor, he could still be that vocal captain, that vocal leader, but Soto could freaking dominate on the offensive side. And that type of lineup, adding that type of difficult batter, will put so much pressure on the opposing pitcher. Now you ask, where is this contract headed? This contract, I think, is headed between 12 and 15 years, close to $600 million. That's where I think it's headed, folks. That's where I think it's headed. Let me get his age right. Juan Soto, I believe, is 26, but just so I can give you an accurate assessment. Okay, so he just turned 26. His birthday is October 25th. Happy birthday, Mr. Juan Soto. So essentially, if he signs in a month, he'd be signing at age 26. If he signs a 12-year deal, that would take him till age 38. That's something that I could see on the table. 12 years, $600 million. It's going to be extremely costly, and I think that the Mets are going to be extremely forward-thinking. They're not going to be like, okay, in 2025, we're paying him $50 million. Oh, no. I think they're going to be looking at how Juan Soto production is going to be in 6, 7, 8 years. They're going to take that value into account. They're going to take that value into him being a generational New York Met, how many World Series he could potentially bring to the team. You look at the team right now, we were damn close. Now, I know our pitching wasn't anywhere near where it needed to be, but adding another offensive threat in the lineup is something we desperately need. Now, we do need pitching. A guy like Max Fried, that'd be a good player. Corbin Burnes, I didn't cover him in this video, but Corbin Burnes has a lot of great positives. Now, I will throw you one nugget about Corbin Burnes. But before I do that, I just want to end off. I told you I was going to tell you, were these rumors going to be bullshit, real deal, or possibility? So I said Max Fried was a definite possibility. Framber Valdez was, plain BS, plain bullshit. And Juan Soto is the freaking real deal. He's the real deal. So Corbin Burnes, the fact that I just wanted to just lay out there is I like to see how these guys do against the Dodgers. How do they perform against the Dodgers? And Corbin Burnes, total career versus the Dodgers, he has pitched 8 games, 30 innings. He's 2-3 with a 5.40 ERA. So if you're like, hey, I want Corbin Burnes so he can pitch in the NLCS against the Dodgers, he hasn't fared well against the Dodgers career-wise in the regular season. And but at the end of the day, it's only 8 games. It's only 8 games. So I mean, I'm not gonna really. It's just a nugget I wanted to give you. It's not anything I'd say, hey, let's get away from him because in 8 games, there might have been 1 or 2 games where the Dodgers got the better of him. I mean, that would be silly. That would be silly. All right, folks. This video is getting a bit long. Like I said, if you want shorter videos, let me know. Anything. Drop your comment, like, subscribe. We got a lot of comment to come. And if you have an X account, follow. Follow us at Dominant Mets. This was episode 3. We have many more episodes to come for you. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I will talk to everyone soon, and let's go, Mets.